Okay then, good morning everybody. Have we kind of shaken off that kind of like rush of travel in and those kind of first talks, caffeine, sugar in the system are ready to go now, yeah? You all feeling up for it? Yeah. Are you feeling up for it? Come on. Yeah? I am, but then I just downed a handful of pick and mix before coming out. So I'm going to get that sugar kick over the next half hour. Now, you know, this is the business track. So this is your last chance. If you're looking for technical, it's upstairs. We'll see how fast you can make those stairs in the next 30 seconds, okay? Business track here all day. We're going to be doing kind of 20, 30-minute sessions with little kind of changeovers in between. And then we've got lunch breaks as well, so you can kind of keep refueling and resting and doing whatever else you need to do. First up today, though, we've got a tech sales leader, an e-commerce strategist, someone whose expertise is in payments, customer experience, and merchant growth. She's an advocate for equity in tech and inclusive digital experiences, and has previously worked at PayPal for 13 years. Okay, so everyone, please give a warm welcome to Sakinah Adebola Abdul-Ibiyeye.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. How are we? Did you all get your coffee all sorted and piped up ready to go? Perfect. So, really excited to meet everyone today at Magento. Is everyone excited? What an amazing crowd. I can't see anyone, though, because I've got light in my eyes, so I'm just talking away, so don't mind me. So, just to get us all warmed up and ready to go. Quick question to everyone. I'll try and look for raised hands, if I can. So, how many of you have ever filled a cart? Yeah? And got distracted, and never got to complete the checkout? Hands? Loads of you. And why does that happen? Yes, we've all done that. Absolutely. But then, why does that happen? Today, we're going to talk about why it happens and what we can do to stop that from happening. Okay? And of course, again, to talk about myself a little bit, my name is Sakinah Adebola Abdul-Ibiyeye. I've had the privilege of working with Adobe Commerce Merchants and while at PayPal. And if you all know, Magento used to be part of the PayPal family when we were all in when we were at eBay. So PayPal owned Magento at that time, and then when the divorce happened, between PayPal and eBay, it went to the eBay side, and of course eBay sold it on, so that's why it's Adobe Commerce now. And you've also got the Magento open source platform, so I have had a lot of time working with the merchants in that space while I was there, helping them to help make this chaotic checkout into a seamless experience using PayPal products. So I do have a bit of knowledge around there. So let's look at the stats. I have to time myself so I don't go over time. Perfect. So imagine 10 people are about to check out on your website, and 7 of them decide to kind of say, hang on a minute, I'm not doing this. Yeah? And that is the norm these days. Absolutely. Do everyone agree with me? Yeah? Perfect. So the cart abandonment is just not a tech issue. It's an emotional issue. So you're speaking to your merchants. You're speaking to people who are buying on your website. When they're about to buy from you, it's emotion at play. So what are those emotions? We're going to talk about that. But first of all, if you look at that, 68% abandonment rate, that's millions in lost revenue for your business, if you think about that. So let's put it into perspective in that way. So 57% drop off with a long checkout. So your checkout is just so long, 6 steps, I have to go this, next step, next that. I'll probably just get tired or have a baby or someone crying and say, I'll go back to that later, and that's it, I'm not going to make that purchase. Now, 18% don't trust the site. That just means that trust issue kills kills the transaction. That just means there's an extra friction for the customers, and they get tired, and that's it, and they get frustrated, and off they go. Now, 30% fair on clear policies. So what is that? So if the customer doesn't feel like making a mistake, or they just don't feel like your website is what they want to do, they avoid making that purchase. What we need to think about as well is the fact that about 54% of Adobe commerce merchants surveyed kind of said they only have just one digital wallet, and 30% offer none of those digital wallets. And in this day and age, absolutely, you want to make sure that you're offering payment solutions that customers can actually relate to. And then they have no reason not to buy from you. Now, let's flip that over and reframe this question. It's tempting to think of checkout as a technical final step. No, that's not it. But for your customer, it's the moment of truth. It's where they either feel, that brand gets me, or I'm not sure about this, I don't want to go ahead with this transaction. Quick question again to the crowd. How many of you have personally abandoned a cart in the last month? Why? Hand? Yeah? I can't see. I have someone there in white top. Yeah? Yeah? And any reason why you've done that?
Too many, lots of reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, trust some of them, money sometimes.
Absolutely. We're going to look at all of that. Now, think about your own checkout if you're a business here. Would you feel confident to buy from your website as a first-time buyer? So take that away. Think about it. So we're not just talking about the UX design, or the payment methods. We are talking about emotional design. Checkout is where your relationship is either confirmed or canceled. Boom. So if you don't connect with your customers emotionally, then there's a likely chance they're probably just going to drop off, the checkout. So let's think about the power of emotion at the checkout. What you want to think about, one of the most consistent findings in behavioral psychology and marketing is that emotion drives action. When someone's buying, of course, it's not just about the specs or savings that you're offering. It's all about how they feel at that moment. And what are these emotions? So if you run it in your head and think about the last time you bought something, and you're really impulsive, could be, concert tickets, cinema tickets, or anything like that, and you didn't run a spreadsheet to do that, I would believe, absolutely not. You made a decision based on how it made you feel at that time. It could be excitement, comfort, or you could even just feel less stressed. So you're relaxed to make that, purchase. That is your emotions at play at that time. So what are the triggers for the emotion? There are usually about 3 triggers, for emotion. So you need to think about urgency. So the language you're using for your customers on your website needs to create urgency. So you're thinking about, the fear of missing out, so FOMO, you're thinking about that. And you're also thinking about 3 stocks left, those kind of language, incorporate that into the website to create urgency for your customers to buy from you. So they're not abandoning your cart, to go to the next one. Trust is one of the most important things when a customer wants to buy from your website. So you need to think about the trust. What are the trust seals? Accept PayPal now, Visa, MasterCard, Klarna, all of these, they all have their trust badges that you can place on the website. So when customers go onto your site, they know that they're going onto a trusted site to make a purchase. So that is important to think about when you're thinking about emotion and how to engage with your customers emotionally. Confidence is another thing we need to think about. So the confidence comes from simplicity on the site. So when a checkout page is clean, tidy, fast, and easy, users feel in control. So because you feel in control, you're thinking, oh yes, absolutely, I got this, because I can then go on to the next checkout. Now, let's think about it. Your checkout needs to speak to these 3 emotions. trust, confidence, without overwhelming the users. It is so important for you to speak to them. So what are the emotional cues? What are the emotional cues that when you're designing a language on your site? So you need to kind of use calming color schemes, reassuring language, such as, secure payment, like we mentioned earlier on, and then exactly clear steps what to do. You don't want to use harsh language like surprises or which triggers alarm when the customers are buying. So use your assuring language like you're almost there, feels different from next step. So take away the next step, which we all tend to do. So make it exciting, you're almost there, and you want to think about that is the next thing for the customers to do. Almost there, so they're thinking, oh, I'm nearly there, so I'm not in a rush. So 3-step checkout. Now, you need to have an engagement moment with the customer. So let me just ask a quick question to everyone here. Have you ever felt stressed at someone else's checkout? Too many buttons, confusing steps, or shady pricing or anything like that? Hands, show of hands? Yeah, same here. I've had that experience as well. So that's not just about design. That is emotion. And it costs real money. It costs you real money when your customers don't emotionally connect to your website. Now, let's wrap this summary up quickly. Emotion isn't just part of the checkout. It is the experience. Because when people feel good, they actually click the Buy Now button. So let's take that on. Let's look at a merchant that I worked with while at PayPal. So real-life experience with a merchant. So I'll paint a scenario, for you. I worked with a fashion brand back when I was at PayPal. Turnover about £2.5 million, and they had a great product, great traffic on the site, but they were licking sales at the finish line. We needed to do something about that, to support them. The mobile traffic was good. They had 70% of their sites, transactions done on mobile. The cart abandonment rate was over 75%, which is well above the industry average. So the team assumed it was a pricing issue, but it wasn't. It was friction. They just didn't, understand. When we went through the checkout with them, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's identify where the friction is. So how do we identify where the friction is? There's a lot of frictions. What were the frictions? The checkout had 6 steps, had to create an account, fill in multiple business fields, choose between shipping options, speeds, for today, click that, tomorrow, click that. There was a lot of, options in there. Before seeing the cost and the payment of what they were buying, which was the last step anyway. So there was no mobile wallet integration, no guest checkout, no visual cues on where they were in the process. Trust sales, it was buried on the website. There was none at all. So the fix, this is what we did. So here's what we did. We simplified and streamlined their checkout process to just 3 steps, if you have a look at that. We added a guest checkout, no login roadblocks, that was taken out totally. We had a trust cues, where banners and symbols are placed where buyers can actually see them. And before making the final decision, while buying. And then we embedded clear soft language like secure checkout. Your payment is, payment is protected. You want to make sure you have that. And then, of course, we needed to clarify the shipping times so people know how long the product is going to get to them. Because you don't want to buy and you think you're waiting days and days, months. You're like, that should be here now. And you then go back to have a look at it. You should have a clear shipping time, so you expect that. So that is, again, that's going to stop, customers coming back to initiate a chargeback as well. When there's expectation that's already been made on their website, so they're sure the next steps and the process. So what this means, so we also upgraded their checkout to Adobe Payments because it was Adobe Commerce. They had a Magento, they moved on to the Adobe Commerce, and we, upgraded the checkout to Adobe Payments. By the way, Adobe Payments is built on PayPal Rails. So if you're using Adobe Payments, that's PayPal Complete Payments, really. So it was easy for us to do that with the merchant. And that also had Apple Pay, Google Pay, Pay in 3, and then they were able to add Klarna to that, to that as well, which just means faster completion for everyone. So what do? Reduce checkout to three keys: shipping, payment, confirm. Boom. Enable guest checkout to remove blocks and also move trust badges. So the results. The results was that within the first 30 days of completion, 22% increase in completed checkouts. Perfect. 50% higher average order value, which just means that thanks to, some of the upsell, flows, and also being able to increase the average basket order where they can spread the checkout costs as well. So they were able to add more stuff into the basket. So that means more money for the business. Because if you have, an option for buy now, pay later, customers can say, oh, I can actually add that. And then that means you're making more money as well, while, you providing the option of a buy now, pay later. And why did that work? People don't abandon because they change their mind. They abandon cards because something feels off for them, slow or untrustworthy. This case shows that convenience plus clarity equals to conversion. So if anybody wants to look at that now, sometimes you need to think about this, that your biggest revenue driver isn't a new product. It could just be removing what gets in the way of, your customers buying from you. So if you look at that, what do you guys all think? Before and after. That's slicker. What do you think? Yeah? Absolutely. You've got the PayPal banner, Pay in 3, Klarna, and you've got the credit option as well, credit card, and there you go, checkout was done. They didn't have to go through all of that. Now, let's think about how you can engage your customers emotionally when they come onto your sites. You want to think about the language that you use, with your customer. At checkout, even confident buyers start to second guess, do I want this or do I not want that? So the words you use, even the smallest, microcopy language that you use on the site can ease the hesitation, can make it easy for the customers to buy, such as you're almost there versus step 2 or 4. You've got 4 steps. And then secure payment versus submit. You also want to think about no worries, returns are easy. Right under the policy, at the checkout, you have the return policy that way. So you're making it easy for you. You're connecting with your customers emotionally. That means that they can actually buy without having to think, they're worried. So they feel this business gets me emotionally. And why does that work? It often, softens the pressure, and makes the customer feel supported. Because I will feel supported if I were to go onto a site and I had everything I wanted. I feel this business understands me. So people don't want to feel like, they're making a mistake at a checkout. Flexible payment options is important, which is quite an empowering choice for the customers. So financial flexibility, God, tongue twister there for me, reduces friction and boosts average order value, just like I mentioned earlier on. So they can add more orders into their basket and buy if they know they can spread that cost into 3 equal payments, using either Klarna or PayPal Pay in 3. So offering buy now, pay later, enabling digital, wallets like Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. You can also add subscriptions, or credit card and split payments for higher ticket items as well. That makes it easy. And why does that work? When people see options, they feel in control. It reduces cart abandonment, caused by budget anxiety. So if there's a budget, like I mentioned, you're thinking about, okay, I can actually go through with this. You want to think about transparency. So remove surprises. Build trust with your customers. One of the biggest deal breakers is actually, at the checkout is the unexpected fees, for delivery times or the policies that appear, too late. So you're kind of like, oh God, I shouldn't have bought that. And you're thinking, have I done the right thing with this? So the fixes really is just show full pricing, including tax and shipping, before the payment page. Include estimated, delivery date early so people know the expectations when they're going to get their products. Make return and refund policies easy to find and understand as well. Why does that work? Transparency, eliminates, buyer anxiety, surprises, and kill trust. Clarity builds it. Okay? Let's come back to everyone here. If you had to choose just one of these to implement first, which would it be? Anyone? So between having a clearer language, more flexible payment option, or greater transparency, which would it be? Yeah? Three. So you're thinking about transparency. That's important as well. So everyone, it is important. So I'm just thinking order of, preference. Everyone's got their preference. So which one, take this home and think about which one you are actually going to, deal with first. What would be your preference to deal with? So at checkout, the little things speak the loudest. Tone, choice, and clarity. You want to make sure you are incorporating that into your website. Let's think about the mobile. Everyone is all about mobile now. A couple of years ago, mobile was just a myth. But we all know that now, mobile commerce isn't the future. It is right now. It used to be, the future back then, but it is right now. So according to Statista and Adobe Commerce Trends, mobile accounts for over 60 to 70% of global commerce traffic. Is your business tapping into that? Yet, think about that, many checkout flows are still clunky, slow, and designed with desktop in mind, and then awkwardly squeezed into the smaller screens. So when people, when your customers are checking out on their mobile, the experience is not that great. So the problem with mobile checkout, we see it all the time, is tiny buttons, dozens of forms to fill, unclear layout. The result? Frustrated user who drop off right when they're ready to buy, because that means, they're just not feeling it. So what are the common mobile, checkout blockers? Too many input fields, small hard-to-tap buttons, no autofill or addresses, pop-ups or models that don't close properly, no mobile wallet option, Apple Pay, Google Pay. So what are the fixes? Here's how you can turn your mobile checkout into a higher converting experience. You want to make sure autofill everything. Use browser auto-based autofill for name, addresses, and emails. Enable saved cart tokenization, minimal fields, so only ask for essentials, which just means fewer drops off. Use one screen when possible so you can have a one-page checkout on the mobile so you're not flipping between screens to check out. Tap-friendly user UI, big buttons with padding, easy to read font sizes and clear CTA and their hierarchy. Fast load times, you need to work with your developers to make sure that your website is actually loading quick enough, so it's not doing the wheel of death going round and round and round and round. That's also discouraging to the customer. So remove any distractions and non-essential content on the site. Offer the mobile wallets, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, tap to pay, which is coming soon. Now, let's think about everyone. For those who just joined us, hi, welcome. Now, here's a question to the room. When was the last time you went through your own mobile checkout flow from start to finish? Soon? Have you done that? It is so important that you test your checkout on your mobile. You have to do that because you need to see what your customers are seeing. You have to be the customer yourself. So if your checkout doesn't feel, feel mobile native, you're losing revenue. Not because your product isn't great, but because your process isn't. And if you look at that, the did you knows there, the Gen Zs and the millennials, expect fast mobile experience or they bounce. They just leave your website. buy now, pay later. These are the options. You need to offer all of this. So 18.2 billion through buy now, pay later during the 2024 holiday season. That's 79.1% of transactions were done through buy now, pay later via smartphones. So is your website mobile ready? Let's look at the before and after optimization. Let's walk through a visual transformation on a site. So that's the before and that's the after, which is similar to what we did with Adobe Commerce. On the left is what the checkout used to look like, or on the right is a streamlined version, where we implemented. So small changes. 6 separate pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sign up, very similar to Adobe Commerce. Then the fixes, what do they do? So small strategic changes equals to lower cart abandonment, higher conversion, and better buyer experience. It is so important for us to make sure we're offering our customers opportunity to connect with us emotionally on our website. You have to reduce the steps. So what are the results? The results, only speak for themselves. So conversion rate goes up by 22%, cart abandonment drops by 30%, and then average order value goes up by 15%. That sounds good, isn't it? That's money in your pocket. Yeah? So looking at those two, what one thing do you think made the biggest difference? Anyone? What do you think what was the biggest thing for you, for any one of you? Any hands up there? Anyone in the room? Six, checkout. 3, simplicity. Absolutely. It's so simple. You want to make sure that it is simple to check out. So you don't need a total overhaul. You just need to reduce the doubt, add clarity, and create a checkout that feels like a sure thing. That is what you want to do. I know I have to time myself now. I'm nearly, really out of time. So let's have a look at the recap and see what we talked about. So let's just bring it all home. So if you take nothing away today, remember these 3 things. Emotion matters. Checkout should feel safe, fast, and familiar. Friction kills conversion. Every unnecessary fields or unclear steps adds risk to drop off. Tiny changes equals to massive results. So that just means you don't need to rebuild your site to improve outcomes. Quick win checklist for you. So here are 5 things you can literally do this week when you're back after this, Meet Magento UK, without a dev or budget, overhaul. So you can straight away update your language, change, submit to secure payment, add encouraging language like you're almost there. These are easy things to do. Enable flexible payment options. If you don't have Apple Pay or Google Pay or PayPal active on your site, turn them on. They're available on Adobe Payments, and most shopping carts have these options at the minute. Price clarity. Show tax and shipping options, before the final step so the customers are aware of what they're getting into. Test your checkout on your phone. Be your own user. It is so important. Move trust seals. So place them right under the checkout experience so people know that they are, their money is safe with you when they're checking out and not hidden in the footer as well. So which of these 5 things on language, flexible payment, price clarity, be your own user, trust seals, which of these would you go away with today? You have to do one thing. If you go away with nothing, make sure you actually have to do one of these today. Yeah? So your checkout is not just a transaction. It is a moment of decision, of trust, of emotion. Treat it like emotional finish line and let it feel like a win. So we've talked about psychology, design, but all of this boils down to one thing: making your checkout feel effortless. turning your browsers into buyers. That's what we are. Your customer is right at the finish line. Don't let them climb a wall to finish on your website. Remove the friction, take it away, and add trust. Empower the emotion that they've got when they're trying to buy from you. When people buy, they're not just clicking. They're saying, I trust you with my time, my money, and my experience. That trust is sacred to them. It's built, it's built or broken in a few seconds, straight away at the checkout. That is emotion at play. And I'm trying to get into your emotions right now. I hope I'm able to get into that emotion stage where you are now. Again, what one thing will you take away from today and apply to your checkout process this month? You need to make sure you make it easy, you make it trusted, and you make it now. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to get to you. Thank you so much.